Hello friends, welcome back to another video. So in this video we are going to take a look at how to set up a cloud server for Wazuh. So in the previous video I talked about how you can set up a pre-compiled and pre-configured VMware image of Wazuh that is provided by Wazuh for testing purposes. But if you are doing a production install of Wazuh or you are doing a local installation for Wazuh on your network, so you are doing it all manually on a separate server, so this is how you can do it. Or if you are doing it on a cloud infrastructure, so you can follow these steps as well. So in this case what I'm doing is I am using a dis- uh, DigitalOcean server over here with 8 GB of RAM, 160 hard drive, and I guess 4 terabyte of bandwidth or transfer rate. So you can use any uh, cloud hosting provider that you want, but I am using DigitalOcean. I will also provide a link down in the description which you can use in order to register on Ocean and get $100 coupon free, and you will be able to use that $100 coupon for 60 days for about 2 months, and you can set up your droplets or servers without paying a single dollar. So the link will be in the description down below. So the things that we need to install in order to get Wazuh working on our server are first we need to install a Wazuh manager. The purpose of Wazuh manager is it will collect all the logs from the agents, and then it will process those logs and then send those logs off to ALK stack for storage and then for displaying it in the Cabana interface. And the agent just collects the log and send those logs on to the manager. And then there is ELK for storage and viewing all the events and logs on the dashboard. So if we go ahead and take a look at basic infrastructure or architecture of uh, Wazuh, we can see over here that there are 3 to 4 main components that are working together in order to make the whole Wazuh infrastructure work. So over here you can see different ports and different things that are working on Wazuh. So if we go ahead and take a look at main infrastructure, what we can see over here is there is a Wazuh manager which is running different services on itself, which are responsible for different actions. Like there is a log collecting service that which is both running on a TCP and a UDP port, and then there is a agent registration service. Agent registration service, basically what it does is you don't have to manually generate authentication keys for each agent. You can just send the request while the installation of an agent to the registration port, and it will automatically register that agent and send back the authentication key to that agent, so that you don't have to do that manually. Then there is Wazuh cluster. If you are doing a cluster configuration of Wazuh manager, you can using Wazuh cluster communication, and then there are different ports for collecting syslog data and events. And then there is a Wazuh API which is used to communicate with different agents and do different configuration stuff, and we will take a look at that. And then there is the second component which is ELK stack, which consists of Elasticsearch for storage and uh, data segregation, and then there is Cabana for visualization and a web interface where you can simply go ahead and see different events and alerts that are coming from Wazuh agents. And then there is another configuration that you can use, which is Splunk. So if you don't want to use ELK stack, what you can do is you can just use Splunk and forward all those logs into a Splunk instance. So if we take a look at this architecture diagram, we can see that there are different agents over here that are doing authentication or agent registration command with the version manager, and then it sends back the authentication key to all the agents to verify that these are real agents that are communicating over with the version manager. And then after that, there is a load balancing service. If you want to configure that, you can do, which is taking all the logs from all the agents and then transferring those logs to version manager. And after version manager processes all these logs, it uses FileBreak to transfer all those logs into an Elasticsearch instance. And Elasticsearch instance is configured with Cabana, which is taking all the all those logs and then visualizing all those logs in the browser. So let's get started with the installation of all the required packages. First, what we need to do is we need to install Wazuh's manager. So I'm going to install it on my Ubuntu server, as the server over here is running Ubuntu. So I'm going to get all the packages that are related to Ubuntu. You can set up it on OpenSUSE or Debian or CentOS. The choice is up to you. So first of all, what we need to do is we need to install some basic dependencies, and you can follow all these instructions on the documentation of Wazuh. So either they provide all the commands that you need to install, run or install. So you can go ahead and copy paste those over here. Then we are going to create our Wazuh source list. So after that, just run apt-get, and after that we are going to apt-get install Wazuh manager apt update, and it is going to fetch all the latest releases of different packages from their source list. And after that we are going to install Wazuh manager, and it is going to take some time, but depending on your internet it will be about 1 minute or two. So over here, as it is a VPS, so the internet connection on this server is pretty fast, and it is already setting up the Wazuh manager over here. And once the manager is installed, we can just see the status of Wazuh manager, if it is running or not, if there are any errors. Let's just wait for the installation process to finish for Wazuh manager. After that, we are going to install Wazuh API. So the Wazuh manager installation just finished. So just run this command to see if Wazuh manager is up and running. So as you can see there, it is active and running, and all the services are also running. So the next step, what we need to do is we need to install the Wazuh API. So just first install the Node.js server. So just run this command, and it is going to install the Node.js server on your system. And after that, we are going to install the Wazuh API on the system as well. It is going to take a bit of time. Once it is done, just type apt install Wazuh API, and it is going to install the API that is required for Wazuh in order to communicate with agents and do different actions. And we will cover Wazuh API in a separate video. After that, just run systemctl status Wazuh, and it will list out that the service is running up and running. So just to verify that, what you can do is run curl on the endpoint of Wazuh API. So we know that Wazuh API runs on port 55,000. So just do curl -k to skip the verification of certificate HTTPS local host port 5000 and hit enter. And as you can see that the API is running, but we didn't provide the credentials for us to communicate with that API. So if we provide the credentials over here, O and bar at localhost, so the default credentials are 4 bar for the API and hit enter. And now it is going to display the basic API information for our Wazuh API. That means that our API is up and running. So the next step is to install the Elasticsearch instance. So the another optional thing that you can do is just disable auto updates for Wazuh Manager and Wazuh API, so that there does not cause any conflict when you are running app update or app upgrade, so that the previous installation and configuration stays the same. Now we are going to install FileBeat, and FileBeat is the main communication uh, tool that is going to gather all the logs from Wazuh Manager and then transfer those logs into Elasticsearch. And it also segregates all those logs into different fields in order to view them in our system. So let's just install FileBeat on server, enter, and now we are going to add the FileBeat repository link and install FileBeat on our system. Update, and now if you run FileBeat, it is going to work and it is going to install FileBeat on the system. The next step will be to provide the FileBeat configuration file to our service, so that it collect all the logs that are related to Wazuh and then pass it to the manager, to the Elasticsearch. And then there is a template that defines all the fields that are going to be processed and then stored into the Elasticsearch. I'm going to show you the template and how it looks. If we go to this link over here, you will see that there are different fields within this template where all the log data is going to be stored, like agent names and their destination IP and destination port and things like that. So this is the basic layout for all the logs. The next step is to enable the Wazuh module within the FileBeat instance. So just run this command and it is going to enable all the logs, enable the module for Wazuh in FileBeat. And the next thing what we need to do is do some editing within the FileBeat config. So just type nano etc FileBeat and FileBeat.yml. And over here we are going to specify our Elasticsearch instance. So just change the IP over here. We will be installing all of these things on a single server, so our Elasticsearch instance will be running on local host. So I'm going to change it to localhost and just save the file and just restart the FileBeat service. So system cpl restart FileBeat.service, and it is going to restart the FileBeat over here. and you can just enable file bit so that whenever the system starts or boots up, it automatically runs the file bit service on boot time. So just type systemctl enable and the service name, and it is going to enable it on boot, and just see the status of file bit service if it has caused any error or if there is some error in the configuration. So we will be able to see that, and over here we can see that the service is active and running, so that's good. The next step now is to install the ELK stack. So just we are going to do that. So just go to install ELK and click on that down arrow, and over here we are going to install uh, Elastic Stack with Debian. So just click on that and just follow these steps. So we have already added these repository links in our installation when we did the installation for FileBeats, so we don't need to do that again. Just type it apt-get install Elasticsearch, and it is going to go ahead and install the Elasticsearch version 7.7. And after that we need to change a few things in the Elasticsearch config. So just do nano that etc Elasticsearch and elasticsearch.yml and hit enter. And over here what we need to do is we need to enable a few things, like we need to add the host IP. So find the line where it says network.host. Over here you can see that, and just change it to your IP of the system. So I'm going to change it to localhost, and after that just find another line which is saying the cluster initializing node, and just uncomment that, and we are going to keep it at default and just control X and Y to save the file, and just restart the Elasticsearch service. So system ctl status Elasticsearch, and we can see that it is not running. So we will first enable this service so that it runs on boot up, and once it is enabled just start that service. Start, and it is going to start the service in the background, and after that we can just go ahead and see the status for the service, if it is running or it is giving some kind of error, and you can then debug that error depending on what kind of error it is showing you. It might be related to something that is changed in the config file, as Elasticsearch uses YML, so it is indentation sensitive, and you cannot use tabs, and you have to use spaces in a YML config file. So if you use tab in a YML file, it will cause the configuration to crash that application. So make sure that you don't use tab in a YML config file. Just see the status, and now we can see that Elasticsearch is running. And just to verify that Elasticsearch is actually running and working, what you can do is just curl http local host at port 9200. So you can see that Elasticsearch is working, and it is sending a response back. So it is a RESTful API that Elasticsearch uses on port 9200. That means that Elasticsearch is finally configured. The next step is to install Cabana. So just type this command over here, and it is going to download Cabana and start the installation process. And once Cabana is installed, what we are going to do is we are going to install the plugin for Wazuh that is developed by the Wazuh team for Cabana in order to visualize all the logs that we are getting from our agents. So let's do that. So change directory into the Cabana shared folder, and after that just run this command, which will download the plugin from Wazuh website and then install that plugin into the plugins directory. And you can also install it from package if you have already downloaded the zip file. You can specify the path where the zip file is and then use that path to install that plugin, but it is more efficient to use this the online command so that you are certain that the package is coming from from an authentic source, so there is no kind of malware in that. So the next thing that we are going to do is we are going to configure Cabana to then communicate with Elasticsearch and gather all the logs to visualize. So for that, what we need to do is we need to change our directory to etc Cabana, and over here just nano cabana.yml and hit enter. And over here we are going to change a few settings. So the first thing that we are going to do is we are going to uncomment this line which says elasticsearch.host, and after that we are going to change the IP of Cabana interface. So over here just scroll down, there will be a line that says Cabana IP. Just let me go. You can see over here it is taking some time for Cabana server to get ready and run. So if we go ahead and see if there are any errors or anything that might be triggering Cabana to not run, so we can just go ahead and hit type systemctl status Cabana, and it will show us that there are some errors that we are seeing over here that might be causing these issues. So we are going to see what those errors are. Cannot use search filter. So as you can see over here that the error is that the Cabana is not able to connect with the Elasticsearch instance. So let's just see if our Elasticsearch instance is running. And our Elasticsearch is working. So let's see if we messed up something in the config file. So nano dash file cabana.yml. Just see what we did over here. So we did specify our Cabana server correctly. There is still the same that it is not able to communicate with Elasticsearch. We are saying that it is working. The issue that we were facing due to which Cabana was not loading was that this server had IP6 enabled. So if you do have IP6 enabled on your server, what you need to do is you need to first disable that on the server so that you can run all the services successfully. So in order to check if IP version 6 is enabled on the box, what you need to do is type IP space A and hit enter, and on the bottom over here it will give you IP version 6 IP. So to disable that, what you need to do is use whatever editor you are comfortable with. So I'm using nano. So use nano dash etc, and then etc slash default, and then grub. So we are going to disable it on the boot up. So just add these two lines in your grub config, so that it disables IP version 6 on boot up, so you don't have to re-disable whenever you boot your machine up. I will paste these in the description below so you can copy that. And once that is done, you can see if it actually disabled the IP version 6 by just typing IP space A and hit enter, and it will not show you the IP version 6 IP over here. And another thing that you can do to check which services are running on IP version 6 is type netstat dash nltp and hit enter, and it will show you over here if there are four columns and then the IP address over here. That means that that service is running on IP version 6, and if you see IP address like this IP version 4 0.0.0, that means that that service is running on IP version 4. So that was the main issue due to which Kibana was unable to communicate with Elasticsearch. So another thing that you need to do before we configure Elasticsearch with Kibana is just run this command, file read setup index management. So what this is going to do is it is going to load the Wazuh template for FileBit into your Elasticsearch, so that all the logs that we are getting get passed through that FileBit template and then stored into the Elasticsearch. And now we can again go ahead and configure the Kibana config file. So just nano etc Kibana and kibana.yml and hit enter, and over here just change these values. So we want to access this Cabana interface over the internet instead of localhost. So just type 0.0.0.0. That means that we will be able to access this interface over its public IP, and we don't need to type our public IP over here, so it automatically gets that this allows it over a public IP. And now what we need to do is we need to specify the Elasticsearch. So just uncomment this line and it will automatically get that Elasticsearch host is running on localhost 9200. And just save this config. Once you saved it, just restart the Cabana service so that the new config is loaded into Cabana. Once you've done that, what you need to do is enable Cabana on boot up. So just copy these commands and paste them over here. So it is going to enable Cabana automatically when your system boots up. And another thing that you can do is just disable auto updates for Elasticsearch and Cabana, because if you don't disable these auto updates, what's gonna happen is if you run a simple update of your system, it is going to update Elasticsearch and Wazuh Manager and all of those things. And most of the time, what will happen is there will be a conflict between the version that your Elasticsearch version that you are running on your machine and the Wazuh Manager version that is installed on the server. So Wazuh Manager will not be able to send logs into that, and Cabana will not be able to Cabana app for Wazuh will not be able to correctly get all the logs and display those logs to you. So it is a very common error. So make sure that you disable auto updates for these packages. So once that's done, what you need to do is open up your browser and just copy your public IP and paste it over here, and we are going to check if our Cabana interface is up. So just type the IP colon the port of Cabana, which is 5601, and hit enter, and it is going to load the Cabana interface. As you can see, Cabana does take a lot take some time to load. So just to verify that if there are any errors in Cabana or not, or it's just a setting up thing, so just run system ctl status Cabana and hit enter. And over here we can see that there are no errors so far, and it is just setting up Cabana, and that's why it is taking some time. So we will just wait a little while until till the Cabana interface goes up, and I will be back then. We are back, and Cabana has finished setting up all the indexes that it needs on Elasticsearch, and now if you reload your page, and it will automatically load the Cabana interface, and it doesn't take a lot of time, and you can see all your logs in your systemctl status file. Over here you can see that once Cabana has finished preparing everything, you will see the latest log message over here that the HTTP server is running at this at the public IP and port 5601. And once that is done, we can now go ahead and configure some agents that we want to collect logs from, and then visualize those agents on our visualize the logs of those agents using Cabana and the built-in Wazuh, the plugin for Cabana that we installed that is related to Wazuh. So this is it for this video, and if you have any questions, do let me know, and if you have any queries, do comment down below with those questions, and we will try our best to help you out in any way possible. And one last thing that we almost forgot was to completely configure the Wazuh app with the Cabana interface and the Wazuh manager, what we need to do is we need to add the Wazuh API with the Wazuh app so that it can successfully communicate with all the agents. So just click on the Wazuh agent app, and once it is downloading, it will show that the Wazuh API is not accessible. So we are going to configure that API over here. So as you can see over here, the Wazuh app default API has been updated, and it automatically got the service that was running on the system. But if you face any problem with that, with the API service not auto detected by the Wazuh app, then you need to manually add that API, and I am going to show you how you can add that API over here. So this API was auto detected by the Wazuh manager. If yours does not do that, just go ahead over here and click on add, and it will show you how you can configure that. So in order to do that, what you need to do is you need to modify this config file. So just copy the path from here and open your terminal, and then nano this config file, and over here it is the configuration file for Wazuh API. And if you go down and scroll down in this config file, there will be some configurations over here. Like this is the default configuration. So if you don't have this configuration, you can just add this configuration from this message box over here, which you can copy and paste it over here and change the following settings. So the ID will be default, and the host will be localhost, and the port will be default port 55,000, and the default password for the Wazuh API is 4 bar. So just specify that and save it, and it will automatically be then detected by the Wazuh app for Cabana. So finally, that's it for this video. If you have any questions, do comment down below. Subscribe to our channel for the latest videos related to Wazuh, as we are going to continue with the Wazuh series. And thanks for watching.